Hello everybody, my name is Oluwasegun, and today we are discussing something is wrong with the system. Alright, so just a moment. We have to solve a problem right now.
How many were you given for this unit? 100 for...
100 for councillor, 100 for...
How many names are in the register? No, not 31. 300 and what? 300 and what?
312 names.
317. The other 5 or the other page.
Okay.
317. And you brought 100 ballot papers for 317 voters. Who gave you 100 ballot papers for 317 voters?
It's from the INEC, from the RKC.
And you accepted?
We didn't count it. And
why didn't you count before bringing them here?
they only give it to us
and asked you not to count?
Yes, and they take us into.
Are you sure they didn't ask you to count?
The law is that if materials are not complete, they should not be voting. Because the remaining materials are being thumb-printed somewhere. So no matter what the result you have here, those materials being thumb-printed will be added. You have 100 instead of 317. It means that no matter, even if PDP has 100 and APC has 0, you know, APC can go and thumb-print the remaining 217 that are not here and win.
It's true.
So that is why if materials are not complete, there cannot be election until you bring complete materials. So please, go back to your EO and bring complete materials, sir.
Thank you.
Yeah, how are you? Come. See, you know, election.
Each booklet is 100.
All right, welcome back, people. I'm so sorry we have a challenge with network at some point, but hopefully we have it resolved, and then we should be able to continue now. Well, today we are discussing the challenges with electoral system in Nigeria, especially with you know, so many things happen to elections in Nigeria. For instance, you have issue with violence erupting as a result of people meeting people, physically attacking them. You also have problem with frauds or irregularity as a result of the old system of practice, such as when you give money to people at the point of voting. You also have troubles with the collation, the tedious process of accreditation manually, and then also trying to collate later. All of those things combine together to form problems for the way we conduct election in Nigeria. But a lot of people have argued that all these problems could be solved, or mitigated at least, through the use of technologies. And some persons have cited examples of using the BVN or ATM kind of system, where everybody has only one BVN and all your accounts are associated with it, and then everybody can go to the say maybe the polling unit, just slot in your PVC, it reads it, and then you just punch the party you want to vote in, and the problem is solved. Some have also said it could be done through the ATM. Once you vote, it is exhausted. You can't vote twice. You just vote once, you punch it in, and it records. Well, what are the feasibilities of this kind of system, and how does it solve these problems? How many of these problems will it solve? And at the same time, how are we sure that there are no also other implications, such as the use of manipulations that may happen through this? Well, I have a guest in the house today. We are going to be discussing this together. He's a civil society activist and a social analyst, public affairs commentator. His name is Olufemi Lawson. You're welcome on the show, Comrade Olufemi.
It's my great pleasure being on the TV.
Yes, so, Comrade, you're welcome. Let's begin by talking about how feasible is it to have a system where you could use technology to solve problems associated with the paper ballots?
Well, it is feasible, but it's all going to depend on our readiness as a nation to adopt it. You and I will remember that in this country, some 20 years ago, there are basic technologies that you can raise.
Sorry, we are having trouble with network there. It's reconnecting, and then we just hope that you'll come back.
Engaging applied technology in the electoral process should be one of the basic things that should not be difficult for us to do as a nation. A nation of over 200 million people, to start with, does not have a database that can be called a national database. Today, if you are registering your vehicle, you have to capture your data. Even within the same premises, we are applying for a license to drive. You have to go for data capturing. There has been a lot of duplicity of purpose just because our country is not ready. And why are we not ready? Engaging technology in our electoral system means that you are going to be sending a lot of people out of this business of politics. A lot of them have turned politics to an industry. A lot of them believe, a lot of them does not have any known job beyond being politicians. And it has become an industry, and by applying technology, like I said, you're going to send a lot of people out of this business because election will become modified, election will become more credible, the process will become more decent. And what am I saying? A country that have been able to adopt BVN, that have been able to use the global system of mobile communication, GSM, for almost 20 years, should be able to conduct election without carrying boxes of paper, getting people to travel, from villages to villages, getting to take a lot of risk just because we want to turn print on a sheet of paper. We must get to that point. And Nigeria is delaying Africa because today, as the biggest democracy in Africa, the most populous country in Africa, if we are able to take this step, I believe a lot of countries in Africa will take this step. And why, again, are these people not ready? The digital technology system will not in any way allow the kind of characters, the kind of shenanigans that are happening in our elections today. If we embrace technology in our electoral system, it is going to curb a lack of electoral malpractices. The thugs will have no business on election day again. We will not necessarily need to mobilize 40 billion naira for security because there will be designated places where you approach the robot, the machine, or you may call it, and you cast your vote, and nobody really wants to know who you have voted for, and nobody is really there to influence you with any form of cash or rice or noodles to take that decision. But I think Nigeria must be ready to rescue Africa from this system that has proven to be difficult. Look at what we have experienced in this country over the last couple of days. It is basically because we have not been able to embrace technology. We have a situation where we have to travel 100 kilometers of road to deliver papers for ballot reasons, to deliver card readers, which ordinarily should have been, you should have been able to verify the next, point that you have an automated machine, in your locality. But today we have to carry boxes, millions of ballot paper. We are still unable to do this. And I think if we really want to move forward and we really want to grow this democracy, we claim to emulate everything from the United States. We claim that our democracy is molded after the United States, but we are not trying to embrace the same approaches that have given the democracy in the United States the kind of credibility it enjoys today. A lot of people want to say that our democracy is still nascent. I don't want so much. Always want to agree with those people. 20 years of today, 20 years of this millennium cannot be compared to some 100 years of the 17th, 18th, 19th century. This is a jet age. 1 year today comes with a lot of innovations that 50, 100 years could not achieve then. So calling a 20-year-old democracy nascent, to me, it's funny. And I think for 20 years as a nation, we should have been able to move and advance how we conduct our elections. It is very ridiculous that today elections are conducted and you have to wait for 3 days in just a single constituency before you can know the such elections. So I believe we must develop the political will, and until that political will, let us take, for instance, the recent amendment made to our Electoral Act. The National Assembly did this job, but the president was, he refused to accept, meaning because politicians elevate their personal interest above the national interest. And if we continue with this kind of system,
I want to bring something quickly to your attention. You have just confirmed that technology is actually one of the best ways to arrest all the challenges. Exactly. But then, it is not as if both the two major parties that are complaining about electoral fraud against each other, is as if they don't know that technology is the problem. Why do you think at least there should be an implosion between them already to say, no, you can't cheat me this time, let's use technology. You too, you can't cheat me this time, let's use technology. Why do you think they are still not arguing technology? That's why they know it.
That revolution will not come. Yeah, that revolution and that implosion will not come from within the two major political parties, because the truth is that these two parties are like Siamese twins. They are conjoined twins that can really separate by any ideological or objective reason. Today, after this election and a new government comes in, or there's a government in place in May 29, you should be rest assured that most politicians you find in this party, PDP and APC today, have the immediate tendency in the next couple of days to cross carpet. So this revolution will come from Nigerians. It will come from, I watched a lot of these younger presidential candidates. I watched the kind of digital innovations they brought into their campaign. Today, Omo Election does not need to pay NTA, pay Channels TV or AIT to broadcast his campaign. And there has not been any time, for instance, that Showore, the AAC presidential candidate, travel, organizes a town hall meeting or a political rally that you will not watch it. And you find thousands of people watching his political campaigns from the comfort of their mobile phones. These are innovations that I believe the younger generation, the coming generation of politicians will bring. I was watching a few days ago the situation room established, for this election by the same AAC candidate, Oluwasegun, and I begin to ask myself, where is APC situation room located? Where is PDP? Are they embracing technology? Are they still waiting for the man in Zamfara, the man in Calabar, the man in Ondo to send result sheets or send text messages before they can really know what their candidate measures on the field during the election? These characters have shown that they are not ready because they are majorly the beneficiaries of the flop system, of this system where only papers can be used to determine, the process. So I don't see these major political parties embracing technology. I don't see them embracing this innovation. In actual fact, when we began with the smart card reader, which was an innovation, of the previous government, there were a lot of resistance to it. And that was one led to what we saw during the last general election, where people have to vote without the use of the smart card reader, giving birth to the incidence form, which the INEC has now, cancelled. These people knows the implication of technology. They knows the tendency that, this will contain a lot of things. Just last year, the Kaduna state government test ran the electronic voting system. And it was so amazing that in less than a few hours of this election, results were already out. But before the day ran out, what happened? The Nigerian factor came in. But when the incumbent government began to see the result of the election, they have to halt, the delivery through the electronic voting system. And that is why even in that state, a week, 2 weeks after, there were no results from some local government. That's why the fact that in about 6 hours after the election, results were already coming in, mostly from those places that were won by the incumbent administration in the state. But when results from the opposition strongholds began to troop in, the whole thing.
We lost that connection, but it's reconnecting now. It's reconnecting. Well, I can see comments already coming in. Well, what we are discussing, there's poor connection on his end. but it's reconnecting. Well, part of the reason we are discussing this is to see how we can also ensure that at least diaspora Nigerians will be able to vote through their own PVCs. The only thing you might have to come home to do is to collect your PVC, after which, once you're back to your own location, you are certain already that you are going to be able to vote from wherever you are in any part of the world. So that's why
how many were you given for this unit?
That's why we are saying that we need to ensure that I have one more questions for him, but so I need to find a way to bring him back. Let me try him again. Yes. So we are looking for a way we can get diaspora voters to be able to vote, and we're also looking for ways to remove electoral violence. For instance, if you don't have to be moving ballot from one place to the other, who is going to be attacking the ballot papers? And then who is also going to be massed on printing ballots before the election or even during the election? Who is also going to be paying somebody to vote when you don't even know where they want to use it? For instance, who knows where I want to go and withdraw? Who knows what ATM I want to use? Nobody. I'm just going to be the only person who knows what ATM I want to use. So until we are able to use technology, for instance, to solve all of these problems, we will not be making headways with the way we conduct our elections. And that is why we have this conversation. Well, I want to try once more to bring him in, because I have one more question for him, because he's a civil society person, and I believe that civil society activists should answer a particular question. We know that the system does not want to change because they benefit from the way it is happening right now. But civil society has a role to play, for instance, to push these things into fruition. And so, just a second, I'll come back now to continue. Let me try once more.
The labor market in Nigeria is incredible. The manpower in Nigeria is untouchable. To pay for less than $50 a day, people are ready to work. 190 million people. But even at that, in an oil-producing country, we cannot pay salaries. We don't have working taps. Water don't run in our taps. And when sometimes they run in some people, it's dirty. In an oil-producing country. That's why most of these beautiful countries, it's immigrants that work in this country. Most people that work are immigrants. The citizens don't even work anymore. Ṣùgbọ́n irọ́ àfi ká máa gé kéèkì lọ́dọọdún. Àwọn èèyàn ń lọ wájú àwa ń lọ ẹ̀yìn. They are saying we are the giants of Africa. Orí gbogbo wa burú.
Each booklet is 100.
This question is directly for you. It's on.
How many were you given for this unit?
All right, so after Comrade Olufemi Lawson back online, we lost the connection earlier, but now he's back. So let me bring him in. Comrade, you're welcome on the show again. You're welcome, Comrade. So,
My pleasure.
So I was going to ask you before we lost that connection that we already identified our problems, that the system, the two major political parties do not want to leave, and that you also confirmed that the revolution is not going to start from them because they are not willing that anything starts at all. What that will happen between them is that if one party loses, once that party is inaugurated into power, those that are not will cross. So we are not expecting revolution from them. That means the revolution has to start from ordinary people, the owners of the country, citizens. Now I want to ask you, as a civil society activist, what have been roles of NGOs, civil society organizations, especially who are concerned with electoral matters like this? What would the civil society organizations do, at least to trigger citizens, or even if citizens want to trigger the process by themselves? What do you think the civil societies should do, or what have they been doing that we are not even aware of? What have been the efforts so far?
Yeah, thank you very much. If you watch, if you have watched, followed reactions this morning from the event of yesterday, which the postponement of the election by the Union for logistic reasons, I want to say that the civil society movement in Nigeria now has a duty to redirect our focus from the traditional engagement of just serving as a watchdog for democracy in Nigeria to actually engaging in ways that we can advance and strengthen democracy beyond what we have been doing. There is no doubt that democracy is a child of the Nigerian people, midwife by the civil society. In order for a lot of people who are occupying positions in Nigeria today, we know people who actually believe in democracy while it was being fought for. And that's why I believe now the focus of the civil society movement in Nigeria must shift towards advancing our democracy by promoting cultures of electoral integrity. Even though we have been doing that at some level, but I think we must go beyond the traditional approach of promoting electoral integrity by ensuring that we engage and we now advocate for technological innovations in our elections. It will not only reduce even our workload as civil society, it will not only reduce the effort that we invest so much in advocacy, it will also encourage more of our citizens to participate in the process. Today, a lot of Nigerians do not want to vote just because they believe their votes will not count. But when we have a system where you know that your vote counts, you find people eager to vote, you find people eager to participate in the process, and in ensuring that we achieve electoral integrity, embracing technology becomes one important tool. So I think it's going to be the major focus of the Nigerian civil society movement, particularly some of those organizations that we work with. So that focus on how we can engage government, engage our legislators, engage ELEC, and even development partners that will be supporting democracy in Nigeria on how we should now collectively invest in technological innovations on our elections. It is going to be to the benefit not only of the Electoral Commission, but even all the stakeholders in the process. A lot of times you have to travel long kilometers of road just because you need to do a verification, which ordinarily should have been solved if the process had been digitalized. So it is important that everyone sees it as a responsibility. As the civil society movement, like I told you, we will be engaging in this approach of promoting electoral integrity through the use of technology, and this is going to build the confidence of our people, not for the benefit of the politicians, but it's going to increase the confidence of our people in the democratic process, and it will also enhance participation. And that's when you begin to find the ordinary people not only coming out to vote, also having the courage to aspire for positions, because they will know that if they contest elections, whatever results they get will count. Today, ordinarily, some young people cannot even contest for councillorship position when they believe the results will be written.
Comrade,
so we must get to a stage where we make the ordinary Nigerians to believe that results are not going to be written, but that their vote will count, and it cannot be achieved by technology.
I want to ask, do you think civil societies are already getting tired? Because we understand the role they played during the protest against military, that the military must go. But now that we are in a democracy, our civil society organizations are not even able to fight, even in a democracy, while they did even better and more fiercely during the military. Do you think our civil society organizations are already tired?
No, I don't want to agree that our civil societies are tired. We must get one thing clear. There's a clear-cut difference between the democracy and the military junta. Under the military, there was no room whatsoever for engagement of the citizen. There was no room for dialogue. There was no constitution. The court was virtually powerless. But today, under democracy, there are so many windows that have been opened for civic engagement, not only to even engage the government on a round table. Now we have the courts that are working. Now we have a lot of opportunities to engage government and stakeholders, and that's why the civil society cannot be seen on the street of a group of people to fight some of our causes. Today, it is, if people are taking it upon themselves as society leaders, as organizations in the past to fight for certain causes, it does not automatically translate that, it's statutory. These are most of the organizations that exist, survive on volunteer effort, funded mostly by individuals and collective, aggregation of people who are driving it. A lot of these organizations do not really receive grants or support, even though some get. But the truth is that the consciousness of our citizens is the only thing that can safeguard democracy, that can correct the establishment. But that nonetheless, like I said, there are a lot of platforms that are now available that were not available during the military. Today, as a citizen, as an organization, I can take the government to court on issues that affect the people, and we get judgment, and we have done this on so many occasions, and we have gotten, justice for our people. So I believe the difference is very clear, even though there are still times when we have to eat the street, there's still much more reasons for us to, because the operators of our democracy today, the difference between them and the military junta is just the difference between 6 and half a dozen. There's a lot of similarity between the democracy we practice today and the military junta. But the truth is that there are still platforms that were not existing then that are available now. Today, we have access to the media, which was not free under the military. Today, we have access to the social media. So there are a lot of other platforms that we are using to engage the citizens, to mobilize the citizens, and to create awareness. And that's why we may not be on the street every day. I don't want to assume that the society has gone to sleep. The tactics have changed, but yet it is still a call to do more, just like you have rightly observed, because our best is not yet enough.
Lastly, comrade, a lot of young Nigerians are clamoring that there is need to discharge or to retire the old guard and allow young people to come in. However, most of the people who are still young people who are complaining about the old people, most of them are also still being used by the old guard to thwart or to challenge or to disrupt the young people who are trying to come in. Let me wait for this connection to come back. All right, while we are waiting for that to reconnect, we are talking about the election that is coming in a matter of days now. I think we have him back. Oh, sorry, we lost it. Let me make one more effort. Okay, just a moment.
100 for...
100 for councillor, 100 for chairman.
How many names are in the register? No, not 31. 300 and what? 300 and what?
312 names.
317. The other file, or the other page.
Okay.
317. And you brought 100 ballot papers for 317 voters. Who gave you 100 ballot papers for 317 voters?
It's from the INEC, from the AKC.
And you accepted?
We didn't count it. And
why didn't you count before bringing them here?
They only give it to us
and asked you not to count?
Yes, and they take us into.
Are you sure they didn't ask you to count?
The law is that if materials are not complete, they should not be voting. Because the remaining materials are being thumbprinted somewhere. So no matter what the result you have here.
Okay, so I have comrade back online now. So I was going to ask, why do you think our young people are still the ones who are going to play old game with the old people? To whether they are being bribed or whatever the reason, what do you think is happening with our young people?
Well, the truth is that the system as it is presently constituted has not given political power to the young people. but it is left for us as young people to actually determine what we want as a people, as a generation. The reality is that this generation of gladiators that are in charge of our political system will never surrender power to the young people. But unfortunately, they have exploited the tool of illiteracy. We have today about 70% of Nigerians constituting the entire voting population of this country. It's a lot of figures. This is enough to cause a revolution. But what do we have? Of this percentage of young people, how many of them are educated? How many of them understands that you need more than empower, trader money, you win or you lose or whatever, but to actually be the kind of young person you should be, So they have exploited our people's level of education. They have exploited them using the tool of poverty, and that is why today a young person can be engaged with money such as cheap low as 5,000 naira. I find it following the politician around. The same person was the person who represented his grandfather, represented his father, now representing him. But we need to focus more on educating our people first before we actually let them know that they have the power to take over leadership and also determine who governs this society. Until we address the question of education, which is a major cancer that is eating deep into our system now, if we don't address the major issue of poverty that has thrown a lot of our young people on the street without jobs, without knowing the next meal to take, we may not really be able to address what their role is in the electoral system.
But that is as far as the uneducated ones is concerned. How about the supposedly educated ones who come online to argue for the old people against the young ones?
Well, the average human being is a political animal. It is not out of place for young persons to be politically biased. And it's a democracy. People have rights, irrespective of their age or gender, to associate politically with candidates. In the United States today, we had the last election, contested cleanly by two people who are in their 70s. There were younger elements who also contested election in various constituencies, as independents, as members of smaller political parties. But democracy that is capital intensive like ours will always require that a lot of our people align with where the resources are, if they need to have access to power. But by the time we are able to empower more of our people and break the yoke of poverty, then we begin to have more people who have more young people, supporting younger elements than we have. There are still the young people who will support some of these characters in some of these major dominant political parties, but they may not be as much as the younger people who are going to be driving the process of change, just like we witnessed in France, just like we witnessed in Canada, just like we have witnessed in Austria, where the young people determine the outcome of the elections, and you find young leaders emerging, as president, as prime ministers in these countries. So I believe the more educated we have the more younger people that we're able to educate, the more younger people that we're able to take out of poverty, we determine how quick we use the advantage of this population to influence change and elect young leaders into position.
Let me ask you lastly, because some people are asking me here to ask you, you have identified that it is only the citizens that can trigger revolution. They are asking you, how can the revolution be triggered? They want you to discuss how to trigger the revolution. How citizens
revolution, unfortunately, unfortunately, most revolutions are do not start from written scripts. A lot of times, revolutions are not actions that are prepared on scripts. They are triggered by one situation or the other. We are all aware of the Arab Spring, which today the Middle East have not been able to recover from. Today, we have some semblance of moderation as far as governance in countries of the Middle East are concerned, because and what triggered this revolution. It was not a script. It was just, the decision of a roadside hawker to commit suicide as a result of oppression that led to the Arab revolution that swept, across the Middle East, sweeping away dictators who have spent 30, 40 years in power in that process. So I believe there is so many circumstances that we are witnessing in our own country today will naturally trigger the revolution when the people are determined. Today, we are living in a country where we protested that we cannot buy a liter of oil for 85 naira, 87 naira, but today we are conveniently buying it for 145 naira. I'm hoping that a day will come that the citizens will be pushed to the point that they will not accept some of these policies of government, and that's where the revolution begins from. So revolutions are not, initiated through scripts that are not often pre-planned or rehearsed. They are usually, created by actions, especially actions of the state. Revolutions are usually reactions to oppressive policies of the state. And I believe that as long as the oppression of our people continues, as long as injustice continues, the revolution will spring up one day.
All right. So thank you very much for giving us your attention and your time this evening to discuss this critical matter this time. It's my pleasure to have you.
It's my pleasure.
So I hope that another time when we need clarification on issues like this, you will always answer us. It's been a fantastic time with Comrade Olufemi Lawson, who has joined us to discuss matter with respect to how to solve electoral issues, especially with the old way, the manual way we have been resolving, we have been practicing democracy in this country. Well, I know a lot of people now want me to take comments, and I understand that people are already online talking about what should be at this time, what should not be at this time. Well, it is also important that we put it out to the world that, it is possible to do this if we can have ATM, if we can have BVN, if you can order something online, if you can have Jumia or Konga, if you can even, in fact, something worried me. Even without having to use technology, this is another way to confirm that this country is actually due and even overdue for a revolution. How do I mean? Did you know that it is possible for WAEC to transport, WAEC and JAM will transport materials to respective centers, secondary schools, primary schools, secondary schools for common entrance, WAEC and all of them. They transport materials on the morning of examination. And we don't have these problems. We don't have one person has hijacked the exam materials. We don't have problems with... Why is it that it is during election that we always claim that one thing happened here, the other thing happened there? Or we don't have enough logistics, or we don't have enough this or that. Now, WAEC is one body that generates its own fund by itself and conduct examination without problems. But hey, we now want to have election by an agency that is funded by the federal government, and we will still have challenge with how to. Do you understand what I'm saying? With how to conduct this. Isn't it funny? I'm having trouble again with the network, I guess. We start again, can you imagine? Alright, so if WAEC is able to conduct examinations without all of these troubles, why do we have troubles with INEC conducting simple election? Why is it so? Is it not disturbing? Ladies and gentlemen, I want to read comments now because I know a lot of people are already writing so many things they want me to talk about. How many young people have money to buy data to even follow you or Shore? That's another problem. So, 1 second.
Those materials being completed.
Let me get set to take comments in a jiffy now.
APC can go and thumbprint the remaining 270 that are not here and win. Each booklet is 100.
This question is directly for you.
How many were you given for this unit? 100 for...
100 for councillor, 100 for chairman.
How many names are in the register? No, not 31. 300 and what? 300 and what?
312 names.
317. The other 5 on the other page.
Okay.
317. And you brought 100 ballot papers for 317 voters. Who gave you 100 ballot papers for 317 voters?
It's from the INEC, from the AKC.
And you accepted?
We didn't count it. And
why didn't you count before bringing them here?
they only give it to us
and asked you not to count?
Yes, and they take us into.
Are you sure they didn't ask you to count?
The law is that if materials are not complete, they should not be voting. Because the remaining materials are being thumbprinted somewhere. So no matter what the result you have here, those materials being thumbprinted will be added. You have 100 instead of 317. It means that no matter, even if PDP has 100 and APC has 0, you know, APC can go and thumbprint the remaining 270 that are not here and win.
It's true.
So that is why if materials are not complete, there cannot be election until you bring complete material. So please, go back to your EO and bring complete material, sir.
Thank you.
Yeah, how are you? Come. See, you know election is by the corner.
Yes, sir.
And you need to secure your future. Now, don't say you vote.
I'm selling my PVC. I'm hungry. Look at my tummy.
My brother, do you know why you are hungry? It is because you sold your PVC last election. That is why you're hungry. Look at the bad road. Look at the price of commodities in the market. Fuel price. All these things is happening because you sold your PVC last election. Now this is another 4 years. Don't sell your PVC. Man, I'm telling you, don't sell your PVC.
Are you buying or not? I'm selling. Are you working
My
for
brother, I'm telling you not to sell your PVC.
You are beating me. I'm selling my PVC.
Don't sell! Don't sell! Don't sell!
Yes! It is not good to sell PVC. Someone in his right senses will not sell his PVC. I will never sell my PVC. Let's go and tell people they should not sell their PVC. It's not good.
Yeah, how are you?
Yo, welcome back. So, let me see. I can do something else with a comment because I'm having challenge with. I'm having troubles with internet to be able to even. Can you imagine? Anyways, if you are not able to do that.